Welcome to That's Good Sports. I am Brandon. I hope the NFL isn't jealous of the XFL for taking a backseat on my show, Perna. But that's all part of the plan. Make the NFL jealous so it tries to keep me by making the sex better. Luckily, the NFL upped its dirty talk game, luring me back this week at the Combine from last week. Here's 6'8" Washington Huskies tackle Trey Adams revealing what he would change about himself at the NFL Combine.
If you can change anything about yourself, what would it be? Bigger dick. Okay.
He's 6'8", and that's his biggest or smallest problem? Would you rather be 6'8" with a small penis or 5'3" with a big penis? Let's set the record for the most use of the word penis in the comments as you answer below. Players are voting on the CBA. Other players have been tagged or traded or decided to enter free agency. Bryant is trying to make a comeback. The Chargers extend Austin Eckler. Tony Romo and Peyton Manning are about to get paid to be in the broadcast booth. All of that on. That's good.
Bigger dick.
Please, for year-round NFL coverage, free agency's coming up, so it's pretty important that you subscribe. I do got some new logo design shirts in the old t-shirt store. If you want to give somebody a gift that really says, I don't care that much about you, nothing is better for that than a That's Good Sports merch. All right, 1,900 NFL players have to vote on the new CBA the very same week we had to vote in the Democratic primary. What do those two things have in common? Well, most of us felt like we were getting screwed in one way or another, no matter which way we voted. The NFL pandered to its voters by essentially eliminating weed suspensions, just like Joe Biden pandered to all of the backwoods voters when he boasted about his sister wife on stage.
This is my little sister, Valerie, and I'm Jill's husband. Oh, no, they switched on me. This is my wife, this is my sister. They switched on me.
Now, the players have 1 week to cast their votes to approve the new CBA, and many veteran players are telling the young guns to vote no on Twitter. No is actually the same candidate I voted for in the last election, in this primary, and probably moving forward unless Peyton Manning runs for president. Ryan Fitzpatrick, who clearly is in the pocket of big NFL ownership, posted a video to Twitter stating why he's voting yes on the CBA.
And I've been spending the last few weeks really thinking about and gathering information, seeking different opinions and different perspectives to try to make an informed decision for me.
Lame.
Talking to people that were in the negotiating room, talking to NFLPA leadership, ex-GMs, agents, trying to gain as many different perspectives and points of view as I can.
Now everyone's saying, oh, Fitzmagic went to Harvard, so you better listen to him and vote yes. Ivy League schools just make you better at manipulating dumb people, and he's doing that.
I can confidently say today that I'm gonna vote yes on the CBA proposal.
I love Ryan Fitzpatrick, but never trust a man who has 6 children and says, you know what, let's have one more. But here's why his video resonates with people. He doesn't sound like a crazy person. Like, oh, I don't know, Marquise Pouncey?
Man, the shit's so fucking crazy, man. I vote no.
Shows solidarity with ownership and players, and I think that's important.
Fuck that shit. Our NFLPA, the dudes at the top, the leaders, man, that shit all fucking bullshit.
There was a ton of different things that we said we wanted to be addressed. You know, the increased benefits for current players, increased benefits for past players. And I think the vast majority of those were hit and addressed in this CBA.
Fuck that. They ain't looking out for the best of the players. If y'all want my vote, the Pouncey twins vote no.
Which advice sounds more sound? Personally, I like what Andrew Brandt had to say, as he's worked on both sides, and he pointed out that some of the reasons this deal isn't optimal for the players include the length of the deal, saying that it's too long, giving players no way to opt out of the deal after 4, 5, or 6 years if it's not fair. There's not a clear understanding of what and how the new gambling revenue will affect this deal. But the big thing is the eventual 48.5% revenue split with the added 17th game. He revealed that before the last CBA, the split was basically 50-50 between players and owners, and that the piece of the pie that the owners are giving back isn't that big. They're basically giving players 1.5% back, which is just half of what they used to have. So they're only getting a half a piece of pie from the whole piece of pie that they used to have, if you need pie to understand why this isn't fair, which I think we all do. Banana cream? I don't know. Personally, I would like to see an apple crumble.
Getting a larger percentage of the pie is important.
But in my opinion, the players didn't get the biggest issue addressed by the owners. And this is why the XFL is actually better than the NFL. Because XFL players don't get fined for actually drinking beer on the field or in the locker room. It's their God-given American right, and the XFL understands that. The NFL will fine players for pretending to drink beer on the field, even though beer companies are one of the biggest sponsors of the NFL. Marcus Peters and Eric Fisher were each fined for beer celebrations. But now, they both have landed Bud Light sponsorships. One could argue, though, the NFL is better than the XFL because what Peters and Fisher paid in fines are probably more than an XFL salary. So that's how you talk yourself out of your own argument. Point being, beer is still cool. Now, Dez Bryant is trying to make an NFL comeback, and I am all for it. The Cowboys released Bryant in 2018, and then he injured his Achilles before he could play for the Saints. He's been rehabbing, working out, and taking care of his mentals. In my head, I was like, I'm rooting for Bryant, but how effective could he be at age 36? Wait, he's only 31 years old. Shit, at that age, he could be a legit comeback player of the year candidate if somebody takes a chance on him. Now, I respect that Dez worked on his mental health, but I think he may have gone too deep and forgotten how to play the game of football. That's not how you catch passes, Dez. Once Antonio Brown gets his mentals together, I think he too will be ready to win Comeback Player of the Year in 2035 while simultaneously performing at the Super Bowl halftime show. I say hello. And here's a cool stat. The NFL released some info stating that 47% of football fans are now women. And that doesn't mean 47% have transitioned to female, like it sounds, just that the demographics have shifted. The NFL stated there are 88 million female fans of the NFL. That number, though, jumped by 20 million as soon as Jimmy Garoppolo became a starting quarterback, and will only increase whenever Ben Roethlisberger retires. The Chargers agreed to trade left tackle Russell Okung to the Panthers for Trey Turner. It's also been reported that the Chargers are very high on Sooners quarterback Jalen Hurts in the draft. Pretty smart of the Chargers to get rid of their left tackle and best overall lineman so that Jalen can live up to his family name while he plays for LA. I'm Jalen, everything fucking hurts because my line is bad. LA also signed Austin Eckler to an extension, 4 years, $24.5 million with $15 million guaranteed for the running back. Eckler is probably the most underrated back in the league. From Field Yates on Twitter, Eckler led all NFL players in catches without a drop at 92. That's crazy. He's a lot like Christian McCaffrey, but he played on a team that had other options on offense. And with Melvin Gordon on the move, this was essential and a smart move for the Chargers. Jameis Winston is reportedly out in Tampa Bay. Peter King wrote about this a week or two ago, and also revealed that he personally couldn't find a team interested in seeking Winston's services as a starter. My guess is Jameis will land somewhere where he can compete for the starting job. That's probably vague, as there won't be many teams that need a quarterback after free agency in the draft. And there are currently 0 teams who need a quarterback who can throw 30 interceptions in a season. Now, according to The Athletic, the Bucs are, quote, hot on Teddy Bridgewater, who's about to become a free agent, and Tom Brady and the 49ers are currently hot on each other. Shit's about to get nuts with free agency, okay? Tom Brady, Phillip Rivers, Andy Dalton, Teddy Bridgewater, Marcus Mariota, Ryan Tannehill, hell, Jimmy Garoppolo and Derek Carr, if Brady goes to either of those teams, all could be available and in the mix. Then you have Joe Burrow in the draft, really making the need for a guy like Jameis Winston unnecessary. To make shit even crazier, one QB keeping his job in Florida, the one guy is Ryan Fitzpatrick, as Nick Foles is reportedly being shopped by the Jaguars. And now the Raiders may be kicking the tires on Marcus Mariota because you know what they say. It's better to have 2 Ford Focuses than 1 Ferrari. That was literally the only reason Christian Bale and Matt Damon agreed to do the movie Ford versus Ferrari. Eagles longtime left tackle Jason Peters is going to test free agency now. Peters has 9 Pro Bowls under his gigantic belt and probably can make a significant impact for a year, maybe 2 if he stays healthy for a tackle-needy team. For comparison, Peters is the same age as Andrew Whitworth at 38. Peters entered the league in 2004, so 2 years earlier than Whitworth. And it's a fucking miracle Jason can still stand, let alone block defensive tackles. Peters has been in the NFL so long, we forgot he played his first 5 seasons in Buffalo. Peters only gave up 3 sacks, which is still elite level, and that was on an offense that had fewer viable options than last Tuesday. Last political joke, I swear. So if he wants to play another year, sign the guy and reap the rewards. Washington left tackle Trent Williams can seek a trade and leave the organization that diagnosed the cancerous growth on his head as a love bump given to him by God. Williams will be a big name on a long list of very good free agent tackles now. Trent is a classic swing tackle who can play on the left side and serve as stadium security. Yes, because of his boxing training and because every stadium needs to be protected from Richard Sherman, who Williams has handled effectively before.
Hey, what you gonna do, boy? I'm gonna punch you in your... Hey, do it then, boy. He punched me in my face.
And finally, the fun story in my opinion. Before signing Tony Romo to a $17 million per year extension, CBS offered his job to Peyton Manning. This is a big move by CBS. Also known as the Josh McDaniels, except if Peyton Manning were Matt Castle and Tony Romo was so offended that he left to go to ESPN. Now, I genuinely think Peyton Manning is just enjoying a few years as a family man, raising his 2 kids and his adopted son, Drew Lock. But enough money will lure any man away from his family. Isn't that right, Papa? Here's where stuff gets bizarre. Initial reports claimed Tony Romo would make $17 million per year, but once Romo found out Manning was offered the gig first, Tony demanded to be paid the number Peyton Manning wore, $18 million per year, and that's what he's getting. Now, why would CBS offer Manning the job first? Well, because Tony Romo is like the best basketball player, but before the league was integrated. You know what I'm saying here? The competition is limited. Tony Romo is not psychic. He is just a quarterback in the broadcast booth. So he should know what the offense will do pre-snap. That was literally his job for 13 years. Putting Peyton Manning in the booth, though, would be like inserting LeBron James into the NBA in the year 1946. The difference between Manning and Romo is that Tony knows what the offense might do. Peyton Manning knows what the offense, what the defense, and what the fucking boom mic operator will do before the game even starts. When Romo took the gig, everyone was like, he doesn't even have a personality. How's he gonna do this? Well, it turns out he has a mild sense of humor, the kind of personality a grandma would get wet for, and he's killed it. What is the one thing nobody can argue Peyton Manning is better at than Tom Brady? It's hosting SNL. Nobody has doubted Peyton Manning wouldn't be amazing in the booth ever, which is why ESPN is trying to trade for Al Michaels from NBC to pair with Peyton Manning to make Monday Night Football great again. Now, this could be great for Monday Night Football. And what's the equivalent of going from Booger McFarlane and Joe Tessitore to Al Michaels and Peyton Manning? Driving a Ford Ranger to being able to travel via teleportation? Having a club foot to owning the marquee nightclub in Vegas? Going from having an aneurysm to an orgasm? Or maybe just going from having the nickname Booger to the nickname the Sheriff? Now, Peyton Manning may get $20 million per year from ESPN, which is just like the last time Manning and Romo met on the field, and Manning bested him 51-48 in one of the best games I've ever seen. Get Manning in the booth now. Thanks for watching That's Good Sports. Please subscribe here on YouTube. I'm on Twitter, Instagram, @Brandon Perna if you want to follow me at those places.